Let me get wet in the fall all day, be the rain's bad child and rolling stone of my town, run wild and stark as the flooded rains, like school-led children and unchained slaves. Let me get wet in the fall all night, be the rain's glad fool or be the shivering cold tree with the root pool in the park and the drenched branches and leaves dripping to the unquenched dark. Let me get wet in the fall always, be the rain's sad clown and pantomime joy with a gay dance of the peacock with his hazy blue eyes and Ocelli's fan pies and crazy crown. Let me get wet as the winds in my eye, and as these winds keep singing in the rain's high fun, nor hope for my clouds ever bringing to the sky, pied parabolas of rainbows set fire to my sun. Who will stand in the dark rain falling, be gashed by the knives of cold winds blowing, be still as the frozen streams of his blood, feel free as a frog or earthworm crawling, feel bright though the night be upon him growing, feel light with both feet stuck in the mud. Yes, who will be drenched in the dark rain shower, be wet and dripping as a twig leaf blowing, withstand the wind, withstand the thunder, be firm as a tree or a strong steel tower, be still as the thorny cacti growing, be low as the blades of grasses under. Forever, forever is the dark rain falling, perpetually are my chill winds blowing, freezing the atrophied streams of my blood. All my days are like earthworms crawling, all my dreams are like twig leaves blowing, swept away by the perennial flood. The mountain pass. Bands of nomads inch up the steep towards the gargoyle mouth, dragging herds of stubborn goats and mules who will not budge till lashed. Bent back, the women pause midway, burdened with baskets of geese and children. Watch, sloomy-eyed, coveys of listless swifts dart in and out of arcane crannies of rock and scarp. Kites circle and scream, wind wafted over the cliff's neck which wears striped scarves of minatory clouds. Night comes gradually as they reach the pass. Then, tired wing, limp hoof, drooping lash, all vanish one by one in the oral darkness of his sempiternal yawn. My Vandan girl lies homeward now when I need her, two hands and healing tongs to save my burning self, to pick the auburn coals of my yarring fire, and yet I feel my talons' palms have rivers carved in them. I, in a search, dance with the witch of fatal eyes, learn magic, say abracadabra, keep awake whole nights, as through the unstilled mist and slanted haze of my skies, she showers stars, then vanishes like a glint in our smiles. I sing with the vamping white Viking monk girls and bark in chorus with other sad dogs of the earth, and at the orchestra's end my psyched dawn shows to the world a crowd of sick dogs fight one bin of dust. Now I smile at the new chance comer, nazy and slim non-dancer, who in her laughter scatters flowers to the wind, then leaves me with a Nancy Goofman, and seeing all this, I wonder where my Vandan girl lies homeward still.
So, was this before you met Didi or after?
Before I met Didi, this was
So
the Vandan girl.
Searching
Yeah, this is before I met
What is
Didi.
Nancy Goofman?
Nancy Goofman are those idiots who the girlfriends adopt as their lovers. Nancy Goofman. The arrogance of the discarded lover. Giant's Child. This is environment. It's a fantastic poem on environment. The giant's child plays with mini toys. His monstrous hands are only meant for breaking the tiny limbs of goggling dolls and gewgaws. The giant's child is a giant in the making. Limp tadpoles lie gasping in his pockets. Small whelks and minnows with piteous eyes. He plucks the filmy irises from their sockets and treasures them like some school-won prize. and speechless in his aviary perched the crowned cockatoos and blue budgeriggers in a cage, for if they tweet or chirp or make any sound, he chokes their downy throats in a rage. Crushed flowers lie in the leaves of his book, stiff butterflies with fractured wings close furled. He views each page with a contented look. The giant's child owns the whole dead world. ये sonnet है, this very personal sonnet है. No one should ever know where I my secrets hide. That all these trees grow private in my park, are nurtured by the sun, watered in the dark, sheltered against winds of tongues from every side. Their boughs by bee nor bird be occupied, no honey hive nor nest of listening lark betray their leaves whisper. Their fallen bark should light no fires, lest they be my secrets guide. And year by year let them be multiplied. These secluded groves in darkness wholly built, shy growths in my park harbored permanent, trees of all my folly, all my shame and guilt. And when these fall, the world remain ignorant. Something in me had ever lived and died. In the sand river, the calder rings of daking fill the deva, fly past the cold sunstones, the neaking dalers, over the spangled mounds of croated shingle, then lean like lolts listening to palavers of gloaming shells steeped in dark dingles. And on the banks steel where the river turns, tilers dart and shoot like shafts of brilliant steel out of the rolling flanges of liquid wheels, and lumens of spuming light split, scatter, break, fall asunder among the tansy stones. Later, when the light changes in the kaleidoscopic talc of the skies, the river's wavering mirrors break into laming prisons, and far beyond, the pluming tides are limned with chimeras. Monologue of an Indian mother. Good or bad, children must never be denied. Twisted in shape or deformed from the womb, these beings of flesh are ghosts of my mind. I place daily the eldest a dwarf down from his bed, walk my cripple on his crutches, teach speech to my dumb, to my deaf be a lifelong pantomime, and daily lead my blind into the blinder alleys of this world. Hard is the lot of a woman, she must endure it with patience and pride. Year after year I bear fruit like the earth. I am tired of the agony of labor. I am tired of my children's birth. Yet, being a woman, I must not deny the call of my man every night. Now pregnant again, I am told, good or bad, children must never be denied. A soldier's monologue. A soldier's drink is rum, let's have rum. She will not come tonight, she will not come. Let's play rummy, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Let's empty this dull opiate to the rains. Now as the rains are falling, the rains are falling, the rains drip, drop, drip, drop, drip, drop without stop. Now as glowworms are dancing down the eaves, and some have perched themselves on drooping leaves, and the eyes of the tiger are weeping brightly, and men have given up sleeping nightly, and a hurt heart here endlessly grieves, and there is no falling of rain there, not even slightly. I am the monarch of all I survey, my eyes are wild. Still falls the rain, turn from me, shrink from me, mother and child, still falls the rain. I am a soul that has sinned and is not pardoned again. Why do you drink so much? Why, my dear, why do you drink? So that my head gets in a whirl and I may not think, so that my eyes grow red and my mouth may stink. My midnight sun is the day's moon. It dazzles at midnight, dims at noon. My dusk is dawn, my twilight gloaming. And tonight I'm sure she won't be coming. The land of the dying. Never a bird beneath the welkin flies. I have never seen any rainbows in the skies. There is no beauty in this sunset and this sunrise. Listen to the songs of the solitary reaper, whose cobs of maize are bereft of corns, and apples of Sodom grow on his creeper. He harvests cactus and xanthium thorns. necrophagous ash plants sprout on the plains, fed by the waters of radioactive rains. Song of the Indian beggar. This priest is greedy, this priest is a glutton, in secret eats onion and mutton, in his temple keeps a woman, but forgive him, he is human. Pilgrims who have been robbed, he says, is the will of God. Thus sang the beggar by the banks of the Ganges. That river, he said, is malodorous mud. Those snows are white on the mountain regions, his swamps all in his lacustrine flood. 5 rivers that quench the northern soil lie dry and sterile and full of sand. Lord Krishna is strangled in a serpent's coil, and Yamuna is the largest sewage of the land. Kali sat smacking blood in his shrine, and Durga was riding a tiger's back. And Kali said, "Oh, this blood is wine." And Durga said, "I'll hunt with my pack." Ozymandias of Egypt. I met Ozymandias in the oasis. He was the tallest camel of the caravan. And he said, "Oh, look how metempsychosis has made me a camel, though I died as a man." "O king of kings, O camel of pride, for ages you will plough the desert land." Then his Arab said it was time to ride, and the caravan left like a mirage on the sand. Rising the phoenix. Is 500 years now? Oh, bring the fabled urn. Let us rekindle the fire. Let the heap of ashes burn. The phoenix appears now from the ashes of his fire, saying, "Life is but my own desire." Pyro, Christ and Comus. Pyro's head was stuck in a ditch. His disciple was passing by, who said, "Master, I follow whatever you teach, so I will not help. Pull out your head." Christ was telling a nun in the church, "Patience, child, though hard you have striven, leave your flesh in the lurch, and I shall lift your soul to heaven." Comus was dancing in a moonlit glade, singing with his band sweet songs of lust. "God for pleasure night has made, let's live for pleasure ere we turn to dust." The dialogue of the vultures. We saw 2 glorious wars, 2 very glorious wars. One was fought here on earth, and the other was fought on Mars. And we heard men whining and whimpering for a day, and now they have left us their carrions to eat and their land here to stay. Pandora's box. Pandora reopens her box, calling every evil back. Now the free birds dance in the winds, now the free fish dash on rocks. Earth once more her splendor finds, time renews its beaten track, and in mercy God from nature's plan has at last excluded man. Bred among odors of verdure, I miss the chance to know the pure damask rose. Now fully grown, I realize we were only taught to use green fields as lavatories, and therefore I have come to associate all kinds of hues merely with animal or human waste. A tinge of minifid scarlet is no reminiscence of that bird, but of beetle spittle stains left by movie fans on walls of cinema halls and by pimps and harlots in red light lanes. Cirrus leaves possess an autumn flavescence immeasurably less than expectorations of asthmatic old men coughing doubled up on loose, squeaky string chords whose rands of twine are broken as their thoughts. A tuck in gold evokes not in the least memories of dawn or some rare beast, but turds of stray dogs like pagoda heaps among scattered slippers of scores of worshippers at a Vaishnav temple feast. Tourist note, fresco amber in Ajanta art. I know this pigment from pools of bovine piss at any vegetable mart. Yet, devil take me if I sound like a hammer set to break an anvil, a wave trying to topple the cliff. You may go to him for replacing worn out parts of an old watch or for buying a new one. He has a fair sampling of digital and quartz, displayed in a large glass case, and wrist straps in metal and snakeskin, in leather, black or dun. When business is dull, you could catch him napping perhaps. Now his face is bland as a handless dial of some wall clock. Eyepiece on, it clouds into mystery. He will not share with you the world of jewel and coil, or what moves a spring or balance wheel, and of the galaxies orbit perfectly, maybe we owe to his artistry. His screwdriver and wheat tweezers align our axis. Beaumont, as a rule, shunned this tiny box of a shop. His clientele is the humbler class across the street, keen to fasten their wrists with anything which does not stop. Quite a few in his kitty are like that. Running, don't tick alike. The pulse of each has its own beat. He in no hurry knows time is mended by a timesmith's cunning. So what does the watchmaker ultimately become? God. Quite a few in his kitty are like that. Running, don't tick alike. The pulse of each has its own beat. He in no hurry knows time is mended by a timesmith's cunning. You get this? So from this, it goes on to that. That is the actual thing, most wonderful thing about a poem, that finally it suggests something else. Street cobbler. I do not know how you would feel beneath a strip of burlap flap to awl a vamp and welt a heel or mend a Hawaii slipper strap. He does it all the whole year long. What moves one's heart is the way how twine and two fingers fay to make a stitch so fine and strong. And as his forebears ages past, he says their custom doomed by caste to hammer hobnails of his fate in worn out souls upon the last. Last kya hai? Last is that stand on which they. So, and as his forebears ages past, he sits their custom doomed by caste to hammer hobnails of his fate in worn out souls upon the last. A US visa for graduate program. If you're culture vultures, listen buddies, the latest craze is gender studies. Take the case of Savitri Nair, who nurtured one burning desire. Though her grades were low, nor records good, to reach Liberty Statue in Hollywood. She learned from an American center cat how Twain and Whitman had become old hat. Gone were the days of Faulkner, Hemingway. This was the age of Morrison and Winfrey. Cut out the crap of all male blighters, just critique the periods of female writers. Pun intended. She crammed well for the oral exam at Delhi Chancery of Uncle Sam, held her own as a glib talker on Naomi Wolf and Alice Walker, spoke as a women's champion too, not just a feminist, I'm a lesbian too. Wow, cried the Yankee at our interview, no one more deserves the visa than you.